It's Saturday morning. It's 9 o'clock. Oh, yes. It's time for the Monster Magic Saturday Show. Let's do this.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning. Feel the sun shining for your eyes.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Good morning, everybody. Gosh, has it been a week already? Doesn't time fly? I hope you've got your coffee. I hope you've got your croissants, because come on, let's do some Monster Magic reviews. And first up, we have a sort of re-release, a 2.0 of a trick that I absolutely used to do all of the time. It is Nothing But the Truth by Cameron Francis 2.0. The original came out, Nothing But the Truth came out, I think in around 2011, and it is Cameron Francis's sort of lie detector routine, where you have a card selected and then lost back in the deck. You then produce your little lie detecting machine, which is made up of a few cards with a red button on the back. You press the red button to turn it on, and all sort of various jokes about the electronic gadgetry involved. And you then ask your participant to say whether their card is red or black, and they can of course lie or tell the truth throughout. Whatever they answer, you spell that word and move one card from the top of the deck to the bottom, spelling out black or red, whichever they say. Then you turn over the top card and it will always say truth or lie, which is completely correct whether they've lied or told the truth. You then run through whether it's a spade or a club, or whether it's a court card or a spot card, till eventually you get down to just one card. You then turn them all over and show that they are in fact matching their selection. It is quite simply a brilliant routine. It's got so much going for it. You wouldn't believe. I can remember when I first did this, it was at a London fashion show. And I hadn't had it long. I only had it a couple of days, and I thought I'll crack it open if I think I get a chance, I get some nice participants, and I'll try something new. And honestly, once I'd done it, I just kept doing it all night. It is so much fun. The hook of the lie detector is great. You can have a lot of fun with booting it up. Cameron Francis has a great idea of it. Working on Windows XP and so on, and it's got that red button, so you can press that to make it print out the word lie or truth. And also the idea of asking your participant to either lie or tell the truth is a brilliant hook. And when you catch them lying, there's just something intrinsically comical about going, oh, okay. So you really do want to make it perfectly clear that they can lie, and you want them to lie a couple of times. If they keep telling the truth, it's not so much fun. It's still a great trick. It's just there's not so much byplay or jokes you can have. Let me show you what you get, because the cards are really intrinsic to some of the comedy. I won't tell you the difference. There's a bit of a difference between the 2 and the 2.0, but the cards are here, and they've got this little red button, which is fun. You can press that to show whether or not, to make it work. And you get them. The cards are nicely printed, and what is really quite clever is that the lie is written lengthways across, so it shows up from quite a distance. Obviously, if it was just gone horizontally, it would be much smaller. So that's really quite nice. I quite like the font, the old digital font there. It used to always be done with the Queen of Spades. So you just had the one option, that's the true card there. It used to just be done with the Queen of Spades, but now you've got a 4 of Diamonds selection as well. So that is what the difference is. Difference is you've now got 2 different force cards you can use, 2 different values, which is great if you're table hopping and you're doing it with friends and family, but it's still only 2, so it's still quite limiting. The trick itself is almost self-working. The setup is really easy. You do have to obviously force one of your cards, and that can be as easy as you like. The crosscut force is absolutely fine for this, as is a Hindu force or a riffle force. It's entirely up to you. Make it as easy as possible, because actually how the card's selected soon gets forgotten, because the cards can go away back in your pocket as you bring out the lie detector. And then these cards become the star. And what is really clever is that you are showing true and lie throughout all of the questions. So they are assuming that what you've got, they sort of twig going, oh, okay, you've got 5 or 6 cards that all have true or lie on it, and it's just being mathematically counted down, and it's all sort of a completely self-working trick. And then when you reveal their selection and that all of the cards are actually their Queen of Spades, it knocks their socks off. Honestly, I can remember it's obviously about 13 years ago that I first performed this, and I can remember just being stunned by the reactions that got, because it blew away all of their assumptions, their self-made assumptions that they'd come up with. And that's why it's so strong. Your audience have set themselves off down the wrong path for a fair few minutes before you pull the rug from them. Absolute genius. Method-wise, of course, that guess isn't too far off. Regardless of what they spell, you will always end up with the true or the lie correctly. The only real slight at the end is an Elmsley count. If you don't want to do the Elmsley count, you can use the all-round subtlety. Both are taught by Cameron, but this is a great excuse to learn the Elmsley count, and you've only got to do it the once, then the cards go back in your pocket. Cameron, I think, is asked on the tutorial whether anyone ever wants to grab these cards, and they don't, and in my experience that is completely true as well. The design's nice, the button adds a little bit of fun to them as well, if you want to press the button and make a funny noise or whatever you want to do. And they're printed on really nice cardstock, which makes the minimal move very easy indeed, and that makes it feel like a really nice quality item. And I'm really pleased that Big Blind Media have sort of re-released it and given it a new lease of life. The addition of the extra force cards is a great idea. It certainly does help if you're table hopping, you don't want the same card coming up, but it's still only one other option. It's not as if it can be any card still, so there's still a lot of repetition. If you're doing it for friends and family and hobbyists, you still only got the 2 values. So again, that's not a vast array to make it that repeatable. And the other problem is that the 4 of diamonds isn't as easy to get to as the Queen of Spades. The Queen of Spades is still definitely the ideal card to use. With the 4 of diamonds, there's a little bit more sort of shifting going on, which you can justify. Cameron covers it in quite good detail, and that's not what I might mind too much. It's just because the method changes slightly. If I was performing this, and it's a fun trick, you just want to play with it, you just want to interact with your audience, I think there's just this sort of cognitive ability of going, all right, I'm doing the 4 of diamonds now. It's a slightly different method, slightly different choreography that I've got to try and figure out. For me, I probably wouldn't bother. I'd probably just stick with the Queen of Spades. You get a nice little plastic wallet as well to keep your lie detector in. I thought it was one of the best packet tricks back in 2011. I still think it's one of the best packet tricks ever. The extra value card adds a little bit perhaps, but more importantly, it brings it back into the limelight. That is Nothing But the Truth 2.0 by Cameron Francis, 2099. One little tip for practicing the Elmsley count, by the way, which is how I practice it, and still do practice it from time to time. I love doing it, and this is one of the reasons why I practice it quite a lot, is so you have your setup as per normal, but if you then do your Elmsley count, you can then do a double and then show that they're all face up, and then you can do a double and show that they're all face down. It's quite a nice little way of just amusing yourself whilst you're practicing the Elmsley count. Next up, it's Incredible Cross Edition by Nicholas Dakin and Mark Mason. This is actually, so there was an original Incredible that was done with dots or spots. So this is almost a re-release, a little bit like Nothing But the Truth, but it's now done with crosses or X's, depending on what you want to call them. The idea is that you have a card freely selected and signed on the face. You then draw 4 crosses on the back in the corners, and one by one you can visually show each cross coalescing down in the bottom left hand corner. The moving ink effect on the back of a playing card, or appearing ink, or little stick men and so on, is a very, very popular plot. We absolutely love it, and I think back in 2016 when it came out with the dots, it flew by me, but I think there were probably a lot of moving ink effects back then, all with various methods and flaps and threads and everything you can imagine. And what I really like about this is you get all of those same visuals, but the gimmick is pretty much indestructible, which I think makes it really, really clever. So you don't have to worry about putting on your glasses and fixing anything. You're going to have a massive trouble trying to break this gimmick. That's the gimmick. I'll show you close up. You'll get an idea, and you also get a double backer, which helps with the selection and the switching in of the gimmick and so on. So it's nice that that's included. And actually, you don't have to force the cards. You can have the whole deck set up so you can prepare all of the cards in advance. And that way, when you're drawing your crosses, you've got plenty of time to set them up and get them all in the right place, and all looking perfect, so that when you hand out the card and you give it away to the spectator, it looks exactly the same as the gimmick. So that's really, really nice. I mean, just take your time. And actually, Mark points out that it's designed to be done with a Sharpie, so the thickness of the lines are the same as a fine tip permanent Sharpie pen, so that would be what you should use. Of course, if you are happy to force the card, you can simply just have an extra card in your pocket, add it to your regular deck whenever you want, and go with it like that, so you don't have to carry around a dedicated deck if you don't want to. The only real move other than operating the gimmick is actually a double lift, and if you want to, you've got so much misdirection when the person's signing the card or looking at the gimmick for a get ready, so it's a very, very easy double lift. Visually, the moving crosses look great. They do need to be done under a bit of cover. You can decide how you want them to move. You can drag one across. Mark likes to drag the first one across and then do the others with a bit of a shake. It does require a little bit of that bigger motion to cover the smaller motion to make it truly deceptive, but it is visually really good. Certainly in real life, it's probably slightly worse on camera. I could try and look something like that. But the best bit is that once all of the crosses have coalesced down in the bottom corner, you can then turn it over, show it's their signed card, hand it to them to keep, and it is a brilliant, amazing souvenir that they will talk about. And also Mark gives some really good tips on how to put the crosses on the back of the cards, or mime putting the crosses on the back of the cards, even to make sure that you don't make any mistakes, and have a little bit of fun with it as well. It is all mime, but you can make it very, very convincing and really sell it. And Mark seems to really enjoy that bit of the trick. The gimmick is, like I say, bulletproof, and it is really easy to use. I find the third cross possibly the hardest, but otherwise it is really, really easy. And I think it's just a great souvenir. I'm not normally much of a fan of these effects, mainly because I think the gimmick can break, or also it's got some bump or lump on it somewhere, which means it sort of sticks out in the deck a little bit, or I think it's going to get damaged in my pocket. The indestructibility of this, and the fact it is really, the gimmick is basically just a couple of cards thick, and it's flat, means it's safe to carry around. It can even ride along in your deck probably, but it's certainly safe in your pocket, and that's a real added bonus for me. It's a bulletproof gimmick. It's really easy to do. Visually, it's as good as anything that's gone before it, and get to give your participant a brilliant souvenir. That is Incredible Cross by Nicholas Dakin, $25.99. Next up, we have The Key Project by Bond Lee. blimey, these have all suddenly been the rage in the last couple of years, haven't they? We've gone key mad. I guess because carrying around coins is going out of fashion, and for some reason we've still got door keys. I don't know why. Don't know why that hasn't changed yet. I guess it will. So perhaps we should embrace the keys whilst they still exist and are still a common everyday object. This is basically a key shell set. So very much like having an expanded coin shell, really. The first trick that Bonnelly teaches is keys across, based on the classic coins across. You have 3 keys handed out and examined, and one by one they teleport from one hand to the other, the final phase happening in your spectator's hands. He also teaches a version of Charming Chinese Challenge, and also a simple transposition from a keyring. The coins across, the keys across rather, nothing really new in the handling there, all very much classic workings. It's slightly more fiddly because you've got to nest a key, and the key is not perfectly round. There's a reason why it's done with coins. There's a reason why 50p coin shells aren't very popular, because they've got to coalesce quickly and easily, and that is quite difficult with a key, and that is one of the downsides with this set. I did find the keys across very fiddly, especially with the first phase. The way he teaches it, that first key just makes too much unjustifiable noise in my hand, so I had to change the handling a bit in order to do that first phase. After that, it's all pretty straightforward though. The big problem I've got with this, let me show you what you get. You get a lovely set of keys, is actually these keys. I just don't like them. I really don't like them. It's sort of, I'm beginning to get used to them now. There's just something about them. The weight's not right, the angle's not right. They're too smooth. That's what it is. They're too smooth. They're very shiny, which is sort of fine, but they're just too smooth. They don't feel, there's something about them that makes them feel like a toy, basically. They're too light and they're too smooth. And I can't really get my head around that. The more I'm playing with them, the more I've got used to them as an object. But I don't feel that they're a key. And this, although it's cut, it's, I don't know. The shell does work really well. It makes it slightly thicker, but it's quite clean on both sides. So that's good. And in fact, obviously, if they were too rough and everything else, they would make more noise, and also they'd be harder to nest. So there's a reason for it all, and perhaps now I'm beginning to I'm getting used to it a little bit. But I think if you see, that's my door key. I don't know if you can cut a door key from a video, but if you want to break in, feel free. There's nothing here, and that's the key. And I think you can just see, it's just, don't know, there's more detail here. And with the coins across, you do hand out the keys to be examined, and they can be examined obviously because you're giving them genuine, ungimmicked objects, and I think that's what they are. They're sort of, they're key-like objects. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too much like a magician here. I'm struggling to like this key. It's funny, visually they look like genuine keys, but it's only when you handle them that they just don't feel right. So for me, the key things like the keys across, where you're having them handed out and examined, they're not going to think they're real keys, and you might as well justify doing it with $half or having brought along your own coins at this point, because they can examine those coins and find they're completely legit, even if they've never seen a $half before. And I think that might be slightly easier to explain rather than why you've got a slightly funny key. The Charming Chinese Challenge routine is okay, but it adds nothing new to the Charming Chinese Challenge, and I think the hook of the Chinese coin with the hole in it, I'm a big fan of Charming Chinese Challenge. If you've watched any of my reviews before, you'll know that it's no better. You may as well do the original version, Troy Hooser's version from Destroyers, or you do the transposition, which he teaches from the keyring. And the problem there is Hide a Key by Chris Rawlins has really got that one nailed. The keys in Hide a Key look completely legit. They feel completely legit, and it's a very nice clean vanish from a keyring. And also the shell of Hide a Key is much thinner and creates a much better illusion. On paper, this key set should be a no-brainer. Unfortunately, I think with the execution, I think it's close. It's close, but I struggle to get over the feel and the weight of those keys. That is the Key Project by Bond Lee, 8099. Next up, we've got the Hopping Key by Bond Lee. What do you think I'm going to feel about this? This is a version of hopping halves, but done with keys. You show your participant that you have a brass key and a silver key. You then put the brass key in your pocket. You ask your participant how many keys you've got left. You open it up and it returns to your hand. You then take out the silver one, put that in your pocket, open your hand, and it has returned. You can then ask your participant to put the silver key in your pocket, and once again, when you open your fist, it has returned. And finally, you put the brass one in your pocket. You ask your participant how many keys you have in your hand. They guess away. When you open them, they have vanished. You won't be surprised to know that still not a massive fan of the keys themselves. They are very, very similar to the keys in the Key Project. They're very shiny as well, and I just wish they were made of a different metal that would dull and tarnish, and also the weight of them is still a little bit iffy. But this is a much more versatile set, and also because of with coins across or the keys across, you have the keys sort of examined and inspected, and with hopping a key routine you don't, and visually the keys are fine. It's only when you're holding them that they become a little issue and don't feel like genuine door keys. So I don't mind this set at all. I think it's pretty good and pretty versatile, and I think the hopping halves is a great routine. For me, it feels more visual with keys, maybe because of their size. I'm not sure what it is, but I actually prefer the hopping halves. But the same way with the hopping dice by TCC, I kind of prefer it than doing it with coins. So here you have, these are two genuine keys that you can place anywhere you like if you want the keys to reappear somewhere after you've made them vanish, and obviously these can be examined and held. These are the gimmicks, and they are well made. I will give them that. They are very accurate, because you don't have to do any of that nesting stuff. You don't have to worry too much about making noise or jiggling your fingers, anything like that with the hopping halves routine. They are quite thick, but that is the same with the coin sets as well, and you get away with it when they're in your palm. They look absolutely fine, and it's a really easy routine to do, and obviously you end up with no keys. They've vanished, so you don't have to worry about having them inspected at the end either, and if they do, then you can just bring out the two keys that are legit, and although they're not the nicest keys in the world, there's nothing for anyone to find. Bond Lee also teaches a nice little copper silver transposition routine, which you can do using these gimmicks as well. It's a much more versatile set than just the hopping keys, and for me, although you're paying a fair bit more than with the Key Project, is a much better set that I think you'll genuinely use, and you do get a couple of other routines out of it, so it isn't just a one-trick pony. The hopping keys is a great trick, and it is a much better routine, more suitable routine for the quality of keys than perhaps the keys across is, and it is quite versatile as well, because you've got a couple of gimmicks in there that enable you to do the transpositions. It is unfortunately quite expensive. That is the Hopping Key by Bondley, £132.99. Finally, we've got the Nature Bag by Zhikajin Tang, or TCC. This is basically a set of bags that are really designed to do Ted Anneman's, or Theodore Anneman's, pseudo psychometry test from the Jinx back in 1935, where you give 4 participants a bag and ask them to put a object that means something to them in the bags. Those bags get mixed up and you are able to divine which object, which belonging is owned by which person. Which is a great trick, and these bags are perfect for it. Let me show you what you get. They are very clever. So in here you get a blindfold, a pretty standard blindfold, nothing special about it. You can't see through it or anything like that. It's not gimmicked in any way, but they do teach you how to use this, so you can still do the routines with your blindfold on. And then you get the bags, and what is really nice about the bags, I won't get them all out, they're a good size. You can fit even the biggest of smartphones inside them, if that is the personal belonging that means something to someone, which would be very sad, wouldn't it? But what's nice about these bags is usually you identify the bags in a visual manner, and you can do that with these as well. You can see which bag is which, but you can also feel which bag is which makes them slightly more versatile than a lot of other bags out there, and it's very subtle. No one is going to know how you can identify one bag to the other. They are completely above suspicion. Even if you put them all together and you examine them and you looked inside them, there's absolutely nothing to see, and that is what makes this really worth buying. The routines that you get given, the tutorial starts off teaching how to see which bag is which, even when you've got a blindfold on. And that is great. Lots and lots of options are covered there. You probably come up with your own depending on your routine and your handling. How to use the blindfold, which is pretty straightforward. And then you've got the routines, and the routines are struggling really to come up with a variety using these bags. You've got like a color match test, which is rather convoluted, and you've got a routine using billets, which again is probably just a little too long-winded for me and doesn't really justify using a bag. There's a banknight routine as well, and I don't particularly like what they're doing with it, but it's a good idea, and I think you probably could develop something out of that. Although there are so many banknight routines out there and so many different methods, it's probably not worth buying these bags just for that. But for me, these bags are designed and are ideal for Anneman's pseudo-psychometry test. That is really what you are going to be doing with it, in my opinion. And if you want to do that, you're going to have to buy another routine, or you're going to have to buy some tips or read some books on how to make that test powerful enough. So although these will give you the method, you're still going to want to learn a little bit of cold reading, perhaps, anything like that to make it really strong, because they don't teach any presentation for it. They just simply show you the method. The method of identifying the bags is really clever and really clean. The quality of the bags, as you'd expect from TCC, is nigh on perfect. The price is absolutely great, but you are going to have a routine in mind. I wouldn't really be following any of the routines on the tutorial. That is the Nature Bag by TCC, $30.99.
Hey, you old fool! You slept through the show! Who's a fool? You watched it!
And that's it for this week, I'm afraid. I hope Colin has managed to watch this on a catch-up, and I hope that you're all now going to jump out of bed, grab some magic, and go out and have some fun with the best hobby in the world. Goodbye.